Welcome to the True Crime Chronicle, where we delve into the darkest corners of human nature and explore the most shocking crimes in history. Today, we're going to examine the case of a man who betrayed the trust of his patients in the most horrific way imaginable. Dr. Harold Shipman, once a trusted family doctor in England, became one of the most infamous serial killers in modern history. A man who had spent his entire life dedicated to medicine would go on to take the lives of more than 200 patients, a number that still stands as one of the highest confirmed tallies of any physician in history. Born on January 14, 1946 in Nottingham, England, Shipman initially seemed to be an ideal candidate for the medical profession. He graduated from Leeds Medical School in 1970 and soon began practicing as a general practitioner in various parts of England. But beneath the surface of this seemingly caring, competent doctor, something dark was festering. His first known victim was Kathleen Grundy, an 81-year-old woman who had been in Shipman's care for years. In 1998, she was found dead in her home, with the cause of death recorded as natural causes. However, a suspicious series of events would soon unravel the chilling truth. Kathleen's will, which had been altered shortly before her death, left a large portion of her estate to Shipman himself. This raised suspicions among her family, who soon discovered that other elderly patients in Shipman's care had died under similarly unusual circumstances. A pattern emerged. Shipman would often be the only one present at the time of death, and the cause was frequently listed as natural causes, without autopsies being performed. The investigation into his practices grew more urgent when evidence suggested that Shipman had been administering lethal doses of painkillers, specifically diamorphine, a powerful opioid often used for terminal patients, in what appeared to be a deliberate attempt to end his patients' lives. He often targeted elderly, vulnerable individuals, many of whom were living alone and had no close family members to question their sudden deaths. After a detailed investigation, it was revealed that Shipman had been murdering his patients for over 2 decades, possibly as early as the 1970s. He would visit patients, often on house calls, and inject them with fatal doses of drugs. These deaths were generally unremarkable at first glance, as Shipman had become so trusted that his actions were rarely questioned. His position of authority allowed him to manipulate the system, falsify records, and evade detection for years. In 2000, after the investigation into Kathleen Grundy's death gathered momentum, Shipman was arrested. The scale of his crimes shocked the nation. He was charged with 15 counts of murder, though the true number of victims was believed to be much higher. Estimates suggest over 200 deaths, though the exact number remains unclear. In 2001, Harold Shipman was convicted of 15 murders and sentenced to life in prison. The case of Harold Shipman raised significant questions about the role of trust in the medical profession, the lack of oversight in the healthcare system, and the vulnerability of elderly patients. Many families were left devastated by the realization that someone who had been entrusted with their loved one's care had betrayed that trust in the most unimaginable way. In prison, Shipman never fully confessed to his crimes. He maintained his innocence up until his death in 2004, an apparent suicide by hanging. While his actions will forever be remembered as some of the most horrific crimes ever committed by a medical professional, the damage done by Shipman extends far beyond his own actions, leaving a legacy of loss, disbelief, and profound distrust.